Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the southern Kupiansk direction, about the village by the name of Makeyevka. If you remember, during the previous few days we were talking a lot about this small village in the northern part of the southern Kupiansk, that there were very heavy clashes in this direction. We have adjusted the map and marked this territory as a contested area, and today we got the first geolocations confirming the Russian control at least over the southern part, over the southeastern part of the village. In this video that was published by the 115th Mechanized Brigade, we can see that the Ukrainians were conducting the reconnaissance operation, and then when they discovered the positions of armed forces of Russian Federation, they bombed this territory with artillery. In this video, this video was geolocated in this area, and based on this video, most of the mappers have adjusted their maps. So we had added this territory under complete Russian control. I have some doubts whether the Ukrainians have control over the northern part, of the northeastern part of Makeyevka, but still we haven't received any geolocations, any videos that can confirm this, so that's why we are going to keep this territory as contested or as a gray zone. But once again, most likely the entire village, at least the part of the village that located on the Russian side of Zherebets River, is under complete Russian control. Now let's move further. Let's talk about Kremenная forest. Today we continue receiving additional updates about further Ukrainian progress in the forest. In this video that was published by the Russian sources, we can see the process of how the Russians were bombing and attacking the Ukrainian positions in this area. The video was geolocated, and based on the geolocation, we made the conclusion that Ukrainians managed to improve their positions further, and they're forcing the Russians to fall back further. I'll remind you that during the previous 2 weeks, we got a significant number of updates about the Ukrainian progress in this area, and as you can see, the Ukrainians are continuing moving further. Now let's move further, and now let's talk about Rozdolivka. Today, the pro-Ukrainian mappers adjusted their maps and show currently around 50% control over the village. I'll remind you that according to Russian sources, according to the videos with Russian flags that were published inside of the village, according to the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, the village was captured a long time ago, maybe a week or two ago, maybe a few days ago, which see something that's not fit with two reports. Now let's move further. Let's talk about Kostyantynivka. Today we got the video of how the Russians attacked the temporary positions of Ukrainians inside of the city. The Russians reported that as a result of FAP 1500, the Russians bombed and destroyed the temporary position of 5th Assault Brigade of Armored Forces of Ukraine. The Ukrainian sources reported that as a result of this strike, the Ukrainians suffered significant losses. For now, we don't know for sure the exact number, but most likely the losses were very heavy. Now let's talk about Toretsk and New York agglomeration. As you can see, we have a lot of geolocations and they are very important. First, let's start about the area between Druzhba and Mayorsk. The Ukrainian sources published the video of how they were bombing and attacking the Russian forces. This video we are using for just to clarify the line of combat contact. This video first of all confirms Russian control over this territory, which is also very important. Now let's move in the southern direction. As you can see, we have adjusted the map. We have colored additional streets, additional part of Pivdenne under complete Russian control. We are talking about Pershatravneva Street, about Lomonosova Street, Kapilska Street, and so on. The Ukrainian sources published the video. The forces of 32nd Mechanized Brigade published the video of how they were repelling Russian attack. The Ukrainians are saying that lots of streets, lots of buildings were captured by the Russians, and that they have almost completed the concentration of forces before further attempt to attack in the western direction. The Ukrainians sent a tank, and from a very close distance, the Ukrainians will start bombing and attacking the Russian forces inside of high-rise building. The Ukrainians saying that the Russians suffered significant losses without any proofs confirming this. So once again, if we turn back on map, the Russians were controlling this building, this territory, and this part. The Ukrainian tank, according to the video, was located in this part, in this area, and from this direction, from this position, the Ukrainian tank was attacking the Russian forces inside of this high-rise building. After 50 shots, the Ukrainians withdraw towards more reliable positions. So this is exactly that the video shown us, and based on the video we have adjusted the map. We still haven't received any confirmations, any reports about the landfill and the coal mine in this territory. Most likely this area was also captured by the Russians, but for now let's keep this area as contested area because this is very important stronghold, and if the Russians control this territory, of course the situation for the Ukrainians is much worse. Now let's discuss about the Ukrainian teeth, the defense teeth. This is the territory between two landfills, two coal mines, and one high-rise building area. We're talking about this, let's say, yellow line, and currently this is the main Ukrainian defense belt. And as you can see, the Russians are attacking the Ukrainian positions exactly along this defense belt. In this video, for example, we can see another Russian Ulmur missile strike that was launched by a Russian helicopter. As a result of attack, one high-rise building was damaged, probably with positions of Ukrainian FPV drones, or drone operators, or something like this. A bit further in the central, let's say, defense line, we see lots of FPV drone strikes from the Russian side. In this video, we can see how the Russians continue destroying and attacking Ukrainian logistics in this territory. Telling the truth, during the previous few days, we received significant number of videos confirming Russian complete control over the streets and logistic roads of armed forces of Ukraine in this direction. For example, if we increase the numbers of days just since the beginning of the week, we see how many strikes took place exactly along the main supply roads between the main strongholds of armed forces of Ukraine. Anyway, summarizing everything, we see additional Russian progress, and based on the geolocations and based on the Russian progress, we can make a conclusion that the Russians are moving further to the southwestern direction with the purpose to answer Nilipovka and to create a cauldron for the Ukrainians that are currently located in New York. As for New York itself, we haven't received anything from the central part. According to the pro-Ukrainian mappers, the Russians improved their positions along New York, along south of New York. As you can see, these are additional 3 lines that were captured by the Russians during the previous night. Or not just previous nights, but we got reports during the previous night. Now let's move to the western Avdiivka direction, where the Russians are moving further and further in direction of Pokrovsk. Today the Russian sources published the video of the battle in the central part of Yevgeniivka. In this video we can see the Russian, very poor quality, but in this video we can see the Russian soldier who was storming the Ukrainian positions in the vicinity in the central part of the village by the name of Yevgeniivka. So that video was geolocated here, and based on this video we have adjusted the map and colored these significant territories under complete Russian control. So there are still battle for Yevgeniivka, but the Russians are moving further and further to Karlovka Water Reservoir and Vovcha River. Furthermore, one of the most important signs that Ukrainians withdrawing their positions, that Ukrainians are running away, was always and currently is the same, that we start receiving significant number of photos of trophies. And today the Russians start publishing a lot of videos and photos with trophies that they managed to capture as a result of clearing operation while moving further in the western direction in Avdiivka area. Today we have additional update from pro-Ukrainian mappers. They have also adjusted their maps, colored significant number of fields, fortifications, buildings, and the color of Russian complete control. So now the clashes are taking place in the Novoselovka-Persha area. Today, this morning, we got additional reports from different sources about the battle inside of the village. Most likely, the Russians will capture this territory very soon. We have additional videos and photos from inside of Yasnobrodovka. In this video, we can see Russian soldier who raised the flag, who hoisted the flag in Yasnobrodovka itself. The Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, if you remember, a few days ago reported about complete control over this territory, and today we got additional geolocated confirmation with Russian flag. So as you can see, the Russians are moving further in the western direction, and the most important, the Russians are moving not just soldiers, not just the territory under control, the Russians also moving FPV drones and the area of that the Russian FPV drones can control. In these videos we can see more FPV drone strikes in the deep rear of armed forces of Ukraine, almost in the vicinity of the town like Pokrovsk or Mirgrad or Selidova. Few more strikes, few more logistic roads, logistics trucks, light vehicles were destroyed as a result of Russian FPV drone strike. We see complete superiority that the Russians managed to establish, and this superiority the Russians continue expanding further in the western direction. The situation for the Ukrainians in this territory is very critical. Most likely very soon we're going to receive additional updates about few more towns and villages that being captured by the Russians. As for South Donetsk direction, we haven't received anything. Additional updates we continue receiving from the village of Urozhaine. Today the Ukrainian sources published the video of how they were FPV droning the Russians in this part of the village. And this video we can see Ukraine FPV drone attacking the Russian positions exactly in this building that was geolocated in already northern part of this small, let's say, town. We have, based on this video, most of the mappers, and we also have adjusted the maps and colored this territory in the complete Russian control. But right before I start making the video, we got additional video with the Russian flag. I haven't managed, didn't have enough of time for geolocating this. That's video, but as I understand, the Russians by the morning of the 13th of July managed to establish complete control over this village, and the Ukrainians were forced to abandon this stronghold completely towards the village of Blagodatna or even Velika Novoselivka. So probably during the evening update we're gonna have 100% proofs that the village was captured by the Russians. Maybe the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation will also provide us additional update about the situation. Now let's talk about a few more words about Vovchansk direction. During the previous 24 hours, nothing big happened there. Just a few more strikes of armed forces of Russian Federation on Ukrainian temporary positions with FABs. Just a few more, let's say, Ukrainian concentration of forces were destroyed. And as for the changes on the ground, nothing happened. The Ukrainians continue controlling the main supply roads with FPV drones. So the situation, at least on Gluboko direction, is difficult for both sides, either for the Russians and for the Ukrainians. As for Vovchansk, we haven't received any updates about Russian control or Russian additional progress in the southern part. So most likely during the day we're going to receive additional updates, and then we will discuss them in the evening video. And interesting report we received from Sotnitsky Kazachok. If you remember, this village was colored as the territory under complete Russian control by pro-Ukraine mappers a few weeks ago. First they stated this, they marked this area as contested area, then they marked this territory as the territory under Russian control, and today they published that the Ukrainians managed to restore control over the village. So it was like phantom invisible battle that was conducted by the Ukrainians, where at first they lost and then they regained positions, but nobody, neither the Russians nor the Ukrainians, published any videos confirming the situation. We have additional updates about political events, and the most important is that the situation in Ukraine is getting worse and worse regarding the political cases, regarding military cases. The Ukrainians are trying to keep society in silence, and during the previous few years, according to statistics, the significant number of investigations in criminal cases were opened about the political events, and that some people in Ukraine are not agree with the current politic of Zelensky regime, and a lot of people were captured because of that, arrested and sent to the prisons. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.